So, blink of an eye, we are back at club football. Kicking off tomorrow, and I can't bloody wait. We've gone through the Euros, we've gone through the summer holidays, and now the beautiful club football has returned. And yeah, very, very exciting times for Championship fans tomorrow. What we're going to do is go through, and I'm going to give my predictions and my little thoughts on each of the games for match day one. Throughout the season, obviously, going to do this every single match day or every weekend, the day before the games start. And then sort of keep score. So similar to how those who play Super Six, you'll know this. If you get the exact right result, you get 5 points. If you get the right outcome, you get 3 points, and if you get it completely balls up, you get nothing. And then we'll see how we do. But also, what it means is you can play along in the comments. So get yourself down in there. Put your predictions for the games, and then let's see how many points you also get out of each of these game weeks, and we'll have a bit of fun with it. Anyway, let's get right into it because I can't wait. I've got a little fact file for each of the fixtures. This will change kind of as we get into the actual season, but for now, it's going to be the head-to-head for each of the teams, their current managers, and their previous 5 opening day results. How many wins, losses, draws? Just to give us a bit of an idea of these clubs. So we're going to kick off with 2 teams that I think are going to struggle this season: Blackburn and Derby. As you can see on my right-hand side, at the minute, Rovers dominate both the opening day ability and also the current head-to-head with Derby. Personally, for me, I think this is going to be quite a tight game, quite cagey, as I say. It'll be very interesting to see whether there are some players that I've underestimated that can't suddenly come to light. But what I've gone for at the minute is 2-1 to Rovers. I think they're going to kick off nicely. But yeah, I don't think that is going to be a ever-present sign of the season. So next we've got Preston North End versus Sheffield United. An interesting game. Sheffield United come out on top when it comes to the head-to-head, as you can see. But in terms of opening day, neither of these teams really like it. Only Preston getting a win in the past 5 years for these two teams. Sheffield United are really, really not enjoying it. Now, they are my very out there favourites to actually be champions this year. And you will be able to see my full predictions in the video that I will link above. But I still think that this is going to be a struggle. I think they're going to have to come back this season and win it from behind, let's say. I think that this is going to be a bit of a rough one. What I feel is, as I say, both teams not really enjoying the opening day. I think this has got 2-2 with a late Preston equaliser written all over it. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. So we go to Wales, Cardiff taking on Sunderland at home. As you can see, it's a much more close match between these two, or match-up between these two, but both having the equal record when it comes to opening day. So not a lot to garner from all of this. Personally, for me, this comes down to which team I think is going to be better and start, out of the traps a lot better. And that's going to be Sunderland for me. Young squad, with a couple of little additions. But I think most of that starting 11 is going to be very similar to the one that finished strong last season. And I think Sunderland are going to really take it to Cardiff in this game, and that's why I've gone for a 3-1 win for the Black Cats. I think they're just going to be a bit too strong for Cardiff on this day and be able to get themselves only their second opening day win in 6 years. So, motoring through these, and remember to put your predictions for each of these games down below, so that we can see who comes out on top between us. Now we move to Hull versus Bristol City. Hull had a very, very good season last season, and I'm not tipping them to do much better though this season. But they are very much enjoying their recent times on the opening day. But Bristol do take the head-to-head on this one. Bristol always are one of those pain in the arse teams. And I think Hull, it will be interesting that a lot of the talents that made up the team last season are now gone. So we'll have to see how they've replaced. Personally, I feel like home advantage and opening day advantage is going to spell true again here for Hull, and I think they're going to be able to edge this game 2-1. So Leeds, most people's predicted champions this season. Again, haven't played Portsmouth too many times, so only just edging it, but a lot of that through playing them back when Portsmouth had that fantastic team, and were winning the odd domestic title as well. Both again having similar opening days. Leeds slightly worse by having one more loss rather than an extra draw. I think this is going to be a really, really good fun one. Portsmouth were great in League One last year, but Leeds will really be looking for that. Daniel Farke's second season bounce, let's say, that Norwich fans enjoyed a few years back, and I think this is going to be one of those games where Portsmouth play the way they want to play, but maybe to their detriment. I think Leeds will win this quite comfortably, but I think it'll be a great game, and I'm predicting 4-2. I think it's just going to be an absolute barnstorm. So now we come to Middlesbrough versus Swansea. Again, a similar one with the teams that haven't, played a lot more recently with each other, but not too much prior to that. Middlesbrough have an absolute horrendous record when it comes to their opening day, as you can see, but do slightly edge this one on recent meetings or overall meetings with Swansea. For me, I think it's going to be quite a tight game. I think both teams could end up having similar seasons in the mid-table. And based on their records of how they both struggle and quite like a draw on the opening day, I think history will repeat itself. I've gone for 1-1. I think, both teams probably scoring, maybe in the first half and then seeing out a bit of a cagey second half. So, Millwall versus Watford. Two teams that have had very different pasts, I should say. God knows what their future holds. That's what we're trying to work out. Have had, two very different pasts, and you would probably be surprised to see their head-to-head and probably imagine that Watford would have been a lot more dominant. I think it's probably the time spent in different leagues that has changed that. Both teams actually having surprisingly good opening days. Millwall unbeaten, but Watford winning 4 out of their 5 games in past years. Amazing. For me, though, I think they're both going to have very different seasons this year. And with Millwall being so partial to low-scoring opening days and winning them usually 1 or 2-0, I think they're going to get themselves another 1-0 win, maybe an early goal that they hold on to, and showing some early signs of Watford's struggles. So we're a good chunk of the way through our Saturday fixtures now, and now we land on my team, Norwich, taking on Oxford away from home. And again, another one of these makeups where these are clubs that have not played each other for very much. Only competitively, only 33. 23 league games in total, or competitive games in total, with Norwich edging slightly that lead. Norwich again also edging the opening days slightly. As I say, we do struggle a lot. Obviously, a couple of those opening days were in the Premier League. I do want to add that one in there as well. For me, I think it's going to be a great game. I think both teams, Oxford have got a real buoyancy having come up through the playoffs. Norwich, obviously, a little bit unsure about what this near future is going to hold with the club. I think this will be another barnstormer. I think we'll have a real go at it, and they'll have a real go at us. But I think we are just going to end up being a little bit too strong for Oxford and end up winning this one 3-2. I'm going to go with a 83rd minute winner. So we get to QPR West Brom. QPR starting their life at home this season. Again, we've got what I'd kind of expect on the head-to-head. West Brom slightly edging it, especially with recent sort of history of these two clubs. West Brom maybe being a bit more Premier League established and so on and so forth. I would expect them to have come out a little bit on top of QPR here. Both teams not having maybe the best of opening day histories. West Brom really not as well. Struggling to pick up maximum points over the past 5 years. How do I see this one going? Well, again, I said in my prediction video for the 1-24 that I feel like West Brom are going to struggle a little bit more this year than they did last, whereas I think QPR will also be doing that. So I don't envisage a massively high-scoring game because I think both of them have lost quite a few of their goals, and we will see if I get proven wrong on that one. But I think QPR will edge this 1-0. So Coventry City, team that I picked to be up in the playoffs, travel to Stoke to open up their season, a team that I think will struggle. And I think that's going to tell. Both teams reasonably similar on their opening day for the past 5 seasons, with Coventry slightly pipping Stoke to it, converting one of those losses to a win. But very even between these two teams, as you can see. Coventry only ahead on the head-to-head by 1 win extra. Quite impressive. I think they are going to be adding another win to that, though, and making it 32-30. When they walk away from Stoke City Stadium, 3-0 winners. I think it's going to be a lovely start to what will be a very good Coventry season. So our penultimate game, as we see Sheffield Wednesday taking on Plymouth Argyle at Wednesday Stadium. Wednesday are obviously a lot of people's favourites to have a really, really good season. And looking back through it with, quite a solid opening day history and an even Stevens, 17-17 on this one. Unless we see a draw, well, someone's going to be pulling ahead of the other team on the head-to-head. Unfortunately, though, for both sets of fans, I do see this being a 2-2. I get a feeling that Plymouth are going to start quick, probably going into a 2-0 lead at half-time, but I feel Sheffield Wednesday will pull themselves together, get those new lads ticking at half-time. Danny Roll doing what he does best and being a superstar manager, and they'll bring it back to 2-2 quite early on in the second half, and both teams will end up sharing the points here. I think, Sheffield Wednesday are going to have a solid season. I think Plymouth will tail off after a little while. And here we are, Monday evening. It's going to be the final game to close out the first opening weekend, and many of us fans will have already had the joys or trials of 11 men proving us, to go through mental turmoil or joy. But it will be Luton and Burnley who will be left the longest waiting to see who gets their opening 3 points or doesn't. I think this is going to be a great game. Two teams who are obviously going to be favourites to be right up there in the top, I'd probably say 4, to be honest, for most people. Both, again, a similar sort of record. Burnley really having it worse off in terms of opening day fixtures. What I would say, obviously, is they had spent a lot more of those past 5 seasons up in the Premier League compared to Luton. So it's kind of a bit more understandable. And what they do have is obviously a much stronger head-to-head when going up against Luton. However, I think for this one, I think it will be one final really strong game, just proper championship football. I think it's going to be end-to-end, 1 goal, scoring each, battering each other back, and it's going to lead to 3-3 on the final bell. But look, there is my 12 predictions, and I am feeling quite confident I should get, some pretty heavy points. Let me know again in those comments exactly what you think is going to be happening this weekend. Let me know who you're supporting and how you feel you're going to go against your opposition. But most importantly, enjoy the games tomorrow evening, and I will see as many of you as possible on Saturday for a watch-along in Norwich's game.